But you're in town to visit one of Arrium's sites in Laverton. First off, what are your plans for these assets?
So Heidi, thank you for that. We've got very exciting plans for these assets. We want to make them work. The GFG Alliance has a great track record of buying businesses and turning them around. And I think we're in a strong place here because the suite of assets within Arrium and OneSteel are very well placed with mining, iron ore into steel at the blast furnace at Whyalla, and the distribution businesses and the 2 electric arc furnaces. One of them, as you say, I'm visiting today.
Do you start operations given where prices are at the moment for iron ore? I mean, how do you feel about that?
So we don't just mine iron ore to make steel. We also take scrap steel within the domestic market here in Sydney. So the iron ore price here is actually quite strong. Well, the iron ore price globally is quite strong. It's moved through $60 a ton. So that places the Whyalla mines in a good position. But actually, the steel price itself remains strong. So our distribution businesses and the 2 electric arc furnaces are also in a good place.
So how does Whyalla, the other Arrium assets, that's been picked up, fit into Liberty, which is part of GFG Alliance, of course, Liberty Cymex global businesses? How do you see that piece, I guess, fitting as part of the global puzzle?
So the GFG Alliance is a broad range of businesses. We have the Liberty business, which is industrial steel and aluminium. Then we have Cymex, which is energy and infrastructure and resources. We also own a bank, our Wylands division. We're also the 5th largest property owner in the UK, and various other pillars to the GFG Alliance, including a charitable foundation. The acquisition of Arrium and OneSteel is a great thing for us because it fulfills our desire to have a part of the value chain and then extend our position in there. So capture more margin from this suite of assets. So we're going to mine, we're going to produce steel there, we're going to supply rail to the domestic market here in Australia. We're also going to produce long products here in the destined market. But also we will fit the Arrium business into the GFG Alliance and particularly Liberty's global platform. So I think we bring a lot in our acquisition of these businesses to extend the ability of these businesses to participate in that bigger, broader value chain.
Jay, speaking about broader, I just want to take this conversation a little bit more macro and talk about what's going on in China, because I'm a little bit curious about how your company and you yourself are viewing some of the changes that we're seeing just really in the last few, it's certainly been the last few months, but it seemed to accelerate since this weekend meeting where you've got tightening financial conditions, banks, the lending is being clamped down, and that's likely to have a pretty big impact, I think, on some of these state-owned enterprises, likely on these state-owned projects, infrastructure projects. I'm curious if you think this is going to have a big impact at all on the steel industry, some of the steel reforms, and of course then on companies like yourself.
So I think it's worth noting that over the last few years, you've already seen a significant clampdown in liquidity and the availability of liquidity to both commodity companies and steel companies. So I would argue to some degree that we've already borne
it's priced in
the effect of that. Yeah.
Go on.
So I think you will see a volatile market for iron ore and for steel, but I always say that. And I think that the position that we see ourselves in here in Arrium and OneSteel is a great opportunity. We're working very closely with a really fantastic suite of people on the ground, and we will all bring that together with a huge amount of hard work to a good place.
And Jay, just before we go, I'm curious what you think the impact would be, though. I'm not sure how much this is priced in. Sanctions by the U.S. on China because of their quote-unquote dumping of steel on the market.
Yeah, so our business is a global business, and we are a significant trader into and out of China of various products and raw materials. And so we keep a very close eye on this. In terms of our asset base, We are determined that the assets themselves are competitive in a global environment, and that's very important in any acquisition that we make. I think our drive, both in the UK and now here in Australia, is successful in making those businesses competitive. And if they are competitive, then they survive in a world with or without dumping.